Today on the Riff, Jeremy sits down with Caleb Thomas. They talk about the Orlando Magic, selling your dream truck, why community matters so much, and if Jeremy considers himself a young adult or not. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, Riff Raff. It is good to have you listening to another episode of The Riff. And I am thrilled because today I'm having a conversation with Caleb Thomas, our young adults director here at North Point. Caleb, welcome to The Riff.
Thank you. I've been waiting for this moment.
It took us 117 episodes to have you on.
Hey, it's better than 118.
That's,
it
is true. I don't even know who is episode 118, but you know what?
I win. As long as
we had to make a tough decision. Right. We were like, no, we're bringing Caleb to 117. So
it means a lot.
Well, okay, so Caleb, first of all, Halloween is right around the corner, or Hallelujah, Harvest He's Risen Day, whichever. Right. Do you have a costume that you're planning on donning?
Sometimes I want to go as Nick Fury. Just throw an eye patch on.
Yeah,
I'm already bald. It doesn't take much. Maybe Luke Cage. Just cut some holes into a hoodie. So I'm a big Marvel fan.
Okay, have you? Do you have a memorable Halloween costume from when you were a kid?
Yeah,
your favorite
one. I grew up like Pentecostal, we wore suits. So instead of buying a costume, I was the Men in Black because we had a black suit. So I just went around with some sunglasses too big and a big trash bag, and I was a Men in Black.
That's
with
awesome.
A flashlight to erase memories.
That's very cool. Yep. Well, that's good. Well, I'm going to be celebrating. I'm one of those. I just get really excited to see all the kids in the neighborhood come dressed up and give them. I want to be like the king size candy bar guy.
Yeah.
And because our neighborhood doesn't have lights, I can look generous without having to be generous.
Right.
Because if I have like 5 king size candy bars, I'm usually good. So
yeah.
But
no lights in the neighborhood. That's new.
Well, there's a lot of kids, but they all go out to the neighbor. There's neighbors across the street where you don't have to work so hard to get a lot more candy.
Yeah.
So but we have staff kids. Bring your kids on over.
Okay, we'll make it happen.
We'll hook them up, and it's good. One time we accidentally gave them a bunch of peanut butter protein, and there was an allergy, and so that was a bad one. That was a staff kid. But Preston and Lisa, we're still praying for your kids. So sorry about that.
Love it.
But hey, I want to talk about everything that is the life of Caleb Thomas.
Yeah.
So Caleb, you tell us a little bit about your family.
So I've been married coming up on 12 years now. I got married young. I was 21. So
no way.
When you know, you know.
I'm not a math major, but that means you're about the same age as Jesus after Jesus changed the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
I mean, I haven't changed the world, but we're there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I got married then. My daughter's 8. My son is 6. We planned it well because they'll be out the house at 45, so I'll be good.
I love that.
Yeah, so then I can just, and maybe grow my hair back. I don't know, get some of these grays out of my beard. It won't be as much stress. So
okay, so your wife, Tamara, tell us a little bit something about Tamara. Some people around North Point might know her.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so she is the complete opposite of me, which is the best. She's the best part. So I'm a decently aggressive person, and she's very passive and just like, hey, it's going to be okay. So everything that like I do that I'm like, man, I wish I didn't do it that way, she does it. And she just, so we complement each other really well. She's a Kid Point director, of course, so she loves kids and does a great job with that. So I couldn't ask for a better mom of my children. So she
is doing a phenomenal job with Kid Point, and there's a lot of new people on the team there.
Yep.
And some of our listeners are looking for a significant way to plug into our mission.
Yeah.
And I think Kid Point is just one click away on our website.
That's it.
But you also work at North Point, and you've been working with young adults just in the last year.
Yep.
And you are killing it. So, as a matter of fact, you recently had, our fall kickoff for young adults. Tell us a few things of what young adults is all about, and maybe a story of something that you're excited about.
Of course, yeah. So everything we do is based on community. And at this age and stage of life, you have, we go from 18 to 30 years old. So that's a pretty broad spectrum of life. You know, there's young professionals, there's young families, and then there's freshmen in college not knowing what they're going to do, what they're majoring in. So in that, we have such a good community because we have people that are 18 that can ask people that just graduated. Like, hey, what'd you do? What's this look like? We have people walking through life together. We have young families walking through life together. They're even, my 25 and up group will go on boats together, like do a lake day. We'll go bowling, and they're just finding community within each other.
So 18-year-olds aren't doing boat days.
No. They're doing ramen noodle days. So,
Yes.
but it's great to have that community, and that's the number one goal.
And you meet Tuesday nights at the Springfield campus.
Yep, every Tuesday, 7:30.
I always say this when I tell people, 7:30 is when it starts, but it's a party even before that.
Of course. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have cornhole out, can jam. I can't throw a frisbee to save my life, so can jam is not the sport for me. But it might get your eye out. But that's what it's all about, and I get to see that community like every week just continue to grow. So every time we have someone like, hey, I heard about this, or I saw it on Instagram, I don't know what to do, but I just showed up, and there's 20 to 30 people that say, hey, come hang. No one sits alone. And they immediately find a friend, a community, someone that they can hang out with. So last night we had tacos for our kickoff, which was, who doesn't love tacos, right? Don Tonos came right up to the front door.
If they don't, I don't even want to know them.
That's it. Yeah. So we had Don Tonos.
I don't think Terrell likes them.
I don't, that guy. We'll keep praying for him.
Probably a different episode.
Yeah. So episode 118.
Yeah.
So we had Don Tonos. We had karaoke.
Don Tonos is my favorite taco stand just north of Sunshine on Glenstone. Oh my goodness.
Best. So they came out and served up, 60 different orders. Someone even dropped a taco and they made him another one.
That's so Don.
Yeah. So it was great. Yeah, it was great, Mr. Tono. It was great. So, we just had karaoke and a bunch of games, footballs being thrown around. It was just the best time in community.
And you're seeing people experience Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Even we're having just continual next steps. Next steps that's what we do at North Point. It's next steps. So we probably got 85 connection cards last night, and I'm reading through them. John delivered a ridiculously great message about just leaving some things behind and then removing those options and making Jesus that option, that main choice, and seeing 30 to 40 people put on their connection card, I'm taking this out of my life and replacing this with Jesus. Just over and over again it's a win. And I love seeing it.
Well, you are doing a phenomenal job. I do say this about young adults is I am confident anyone who goes there is going to have their best shot at finding community. Yeah. So if you have someone in your world or are someone who's in that 18 to 30-ish, 30s age range, I promise it's a great opportunity if you're looking for community. Yeah. Tuesday night, 7:30. But I want to take our time today, and I want to go back to young Caleb. Tell us about where'd you grew up?
Yeah.
What was that like? What was little Caleb's life like?
So it's an interesting one. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida, where it's 90 degrees at 5 a.m. It's just a different world out there. And I played basketball. That's all I knew was basketball. And
Magic fan? Shaq?
Oh man, Shaq, Tracy McGrady. Oh yeah, I loved it. And my father,
BJ Armstrong.
So Daryl Armstrong. I played basketball with his daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. So who was really good. She was so much better than me. But so it was cool to be just involved in that. My dad actually worked for the Orlando Magic. So I got to meet some of the players, and he worked at their practice
jerseys
facility. Back
in those days.
With the star and the pinstripes, the best. Yeah. So it was really cool to be a part of that. And that was, we lived on, it's funny, we lived on our church property because my dad was our pastor's security guard. My dad's a big man.
Yeah. I have never had a security guard.
Yeah, you need one.
Who lives on property.
You need one.
Yeah.
So my dad's he was 6'5", 300 pounds at the time. Just a big, big man. So he was like his security guard, right-hand man. And we lived on the church property, which was cool.
That's baller
status.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. So I got to walk to kids' church, which was awesome. Okay. It was a quarter of a mile right down the road. So, but I was always involved in church. Okay. My parents kept me in church. I always say that my mom has just a direct line to God. It's I couldn't get away with anything. I'm like, how'd you know? She's like, God told me. And I'm like, okay, God, I got it. Yeah. So
God and his associates out there.
I couldn't get away with anything. And, but she kept us in church. I have two brothers.
Older, younger?
I'm the middle child.
Okay.
Yep. So my older brother, they're both back in Orlando, and they get to enjoy the warm winters while I freeze here. But yeah, my life was just basketball and church. That's what I knew. And I played ball year round, just nonstop, and my knees are paying for it now. But
isn't that what brought you to Springfield?
So we moved here when I was 16.
Okay.
My dad works for Westgate Resort. So, Branson brought us here, and truthfully, we were getting in some trouble in Orlando. It's really easy to find trouble. So my dad was like, time to go. So he moved us to a place where you couldn't try to get in trouble, which is Nixa, Missouri. So at that time we went there, and we finished, and I can't leave. So I've tried, and I can't. And now we're, once those roots get planted, you find a place that you love, and our kids are growing here, and it's just a great place to be. So.
Okay, so Nixa High School, proud graduate of Nixa Eagle alumni here.
2009. Very
good.
Yeah.
And then you went to BBC.
Yep.
So tell us about that journey.
So I had a couple basketball scholarships, and we just had some family things come up that I couldn't take it. So I'm scrambling. I'm like, where am I going to go? I want to play ball. I want to do that. So where do I go? Went to Evangel. They were like, oh, we'll have you red shirt for a year. We're out of scholarships. Couldn't afford it. Went to Drury. We'll have you red shirt for a year. We're out of scholarships. So one day my mom was like, hey, let's go to this college that's on Kearney. I didn't even know there was a college on Kearney. So we went, and I met the chaplain, who was one of the most influential people in my life ever. And I met him there. He was just happened to be at the gym, and he gave us a tour, and I enrolled that day. And it was the 2 years there, probably some of the most monumental years ever. So I blew my knee out my freshman year of college, just stopping. I didn't get tackled. I didn't get flipped in the air. I was running and then stopped. And my knee just obliterated. And it's funny because the night before that happened, we have those moments where we're just like, what's next? Like, God, I don't know what's next. And I remember praying, I was like, God, I need you to give me a sign, and I need it to be big enough to where I can't be stubborn enough to turn away from it. Yeah. And the very next night I blew my knee out. So I was like, oh, that's a good sign. I need to work on my prayers. And I joined the worship team at BBC, and that's when I really learned what ministry was. And, I led someone to Christ for the first time, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be the rest of my life right here. So that's when I made the decision to go into ministry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk to us. Okay. So then what happens? You get out of BBC. Now, do you have Tamara in your life at this point?
Yes. Yeah. So I met Tamara my senior year of high school. So,
okay.
She went to BBC as well with me. And so that was fun. But we got married, and I just got an internship at my church as a youth pastor. And they're just like, well, our pastor's leaving in a few months, so we're going to have you take over. So we need you to learn. I was like, well, let's go. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a youth pastor. So that was the focus. I worked full time at a bank and AT&T, and I did quote unquote part-time youth ministry for our church. So it was fun. And Tamara did the children's ministry. She's been doing that for almost 11 years now.
Okay, so banker and then AT&T. So AT&T. I know you had a lot of success there. Yeah. So you're slinging phones, slinging contracts. Yep. What were some of the things that you learned there that now looking back, you're like, man, that was actually preparing me?
So it taught me how to learn me. Wow. It taught me how to listen. Like, I learned how to listen intently. And, it starts off with like, I need to listen because I want to be able to sell someone something. Then it turns into, I want to listen so I can connect. Because in sales, it's all about connection. Like, nobody really cares what I have to sell them if I can't tell them why it's going to work for them. There's no cookie cutter thing that works, and especially in phone and internet sales. There's so many internet companies out there. Why do you need my internet? So I just learned to like really listen and connect deeply with people. And there are customers that I had that are still friends because of that, which is pretty cool. But that translates to today where at church in the lobby, I'm meeting people, I'm listening. Like, tell me your story. Like, what do you have going on? And it's not for me to sell you something. It's for me to make sure I can help provide you community, provide you a safe place. I want to make sure I can connect you with the right person, get you involved and serving in the right place to where it's going to be fruitful for you, and not just, oh, hey, we could use you over here. We have some greater serving opportunities. No, I want you to be in a place where you're going to thrive. So listening intently is a great thing that taught me.
Yeah. So you were doing that and working in a church.
Yes.
How long did you work in church?
Oh, we were there probably 5 years before, and then I moved to Oklahoma for a year. And I was like, I'm done with part-time ministry. I'm just going to go full-time and make as much money as I can.
At a church or
nope, AT&T? For AT&T,
okay.
Yep. And
I was going to say you chose the wrong career.
Yeah, no, as much money. But so I moved to Oklahoma and I was a district manager. So I had 9 stores and I traveled all over.
What was that year like?
It was Tulsa. I was in Tulsa for the first half. Great. Loved it. Found a great church there. Got plugged in. And I learned a valuable lesson about being money hungry because I went to Oklahoma City for a bigger district and more money. And I was probably the worst 6 months I've ever had in my adult life.
Really?
I was gone, I don't know, probably 2 to 3 nights a week because like the closest store from my house was an hour away. The furthest was 2.5, 3 hours. So I'll never forget this day. I worked 22 hours, went to bed, slept in my car for like 4 hours, got up and went back to work. And then drove home 3 hours in traffic. And I was just like, I can't wait to go to sleep. So I put money over everything at that time. We found out we were having our son. So I'm like, I got to make money. And I thought that's where my value came, just being a provider. And I learned very quickly that that's not the case. So we moved back here to Missouri. And
with AT&T still?
No, I took a different job for just time.
So how long did it take for you to realize, man, what did that look like? This isn't chasing money at some level, or at least chasing something that brought in a lot more money. At what point do you realize, man, this isn't working? How long did it take you guys? What did that look like for you to do something about it?
Well, you'd think I learned my lesson in Oklahoma, but I didn't because I went right back to AT&T when I got here. So I think it was 2017. I went right back to AT&T in the call center instead of in stores. And that was like, that was the most money I've ever made. And it was the most stress I've ever put on myself. Like any chances of my hair growing back were gone. When I started working at it was bad. But we called it the golden handcuffs. Like you're not happy, but like, how do you stop making money? And eventually I got to the point where my mental health struggled. Like God bless my wife because she got to see and endure and hear just all the struggles. So, there was a point where I had to check myself in because I was like, I can't do this. So we went through all of that. And it wasn't until December of last year where I just learned, it's like, I don't provide for myself. God gives us opportunities to make a living and that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one that's providing for my family. And how can I be so arrogant to think that it's all on me? And I remember when we were going through the process of joining the team at North Point, we did some calculations. I'll never forget this. We did some calculations and we were like, oh, we're going to be good. Like, it's going to be real tight, but we'll make it work. And then we woke up the next morning and Tamara was at the counter. She's like, we don't have it. Like, we can't. Like, there's no way. And I'm like, oh. So I'm driving to work and I feel it. And I'm like, man, this stinks. Like, I wanted to do full-time ministry. I get emotional, sorry. But I wanted to do full-time ministry my entire life. So I'm like, I lost my opportunity because I got money hungry. I drove a $70,000 truck because I was like, if I got to go to a place I hate, I'm going to drive in style, So I drove all of this stuff and then I'm sitting in a parking lot and I'm not one of those guys that claims to hear the audible voice of God. Like, I don't know that, but I know when he's speaking to me. And I remember pulling in a parking lot, backed my truck in and I'm just like, here we go. And then I heard, if I haven't failed you yet, why would I now? And I was like, okay. And then in that moment, called Tamara. She was like, for the first time in a couple years, I woke up with zero anxiety today. And I was like, okay. She's like, let's go for it. So we swung and hadn't failed me yet.
And swinging for you was, you had to sell your truck.
I sold my baby. I sold my girl, but if
you're listening, not his real baby girl, okay, but his truck.
Yes,
he does have a real.
I
baby
do have
girl,
a real baby girl.
You still have her.
Yes, yes. Okay. Adeline is not going anywhere. But my truck, Big Red. But she's listen. It was the best decision. It was hard. I was at the parking lot, and there was like, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I cleaned my car out. Went to the car lot and had tears rolling down my face when I let it go, which let me know I was holding on to things way too much. Like my perspective was so wrong. So I'm so thankful that God was just like, hey, listen, none of this matters. Like, this is what I've called you to do. This is what you're supposed to do. And I'm going to take things away from you so you can learn to rely on me. It's not because that's me. I'll do it. I'll do it myself. I learned for the past 8 months that I can't do anything without God leading me in that. So it's been an experience, and I've grown. It took me 32 years to learn it, but here I am, and I finally learned. So I'm still learning every day.
So you've been in this role 8-9 months now, and what are you learning about you?
Oh man, I'm learning that the things I thought I knew, especially about ministry, there's so many different ways to do it, and there's different ways to be effective. But I'm learning about timing, because you can have a good idea with bad timing, and and you can have great timing with a bad idea. And I've had both. I've had great ideas and I've executed them horribly, and I've had just horrible ideas. And I'm like, this is it, and this is the perfect time. And it might have been good timing for a good idea, but it wasn't good timing for the bad one. So I'm learning how to just take my thoughts, my emotions, and how I feel out of it, and really just go with how I'm led. And that's, if you follow the Enneagram, I'm an 8. So we have a tendency of just jumping. I'm like, we'll fix it later. Yeah. And I've got myself in a lot of trouble with that. So throughout these last 8 months, it's just like, don't jump. Take a second. I write everything down on paper. I don't use a computer when I'm going through these things. I write it all down on paper and really analyze what's next? Where do we go? And where is God leading us? And then we take that next step. So
how is working in a church in this season full time? How's that impact your spiritual life? Because I've been doing this for a while too, and sometimes it impacts it differently. For you, what's your experience like? Working as a professional pastor. Yeah. How are you as a Jesus follower? What adjustments have you had to make, or what does that look like?
It's embarrassing to say, but there's been times where I've prayed more in public than I have privately. And I'm like, what am I doing? Because when it becomes part of your job, you're just like, hey, let's go, And, I remember when I first started, I was like, man, we're rolling. That Bible's open, pages are ripping because I'm burning through it, and then you get a little comfortable and you start to get in your routine and you're like, I have to do this, or this is important, or that's important. And let me make sure I connect with this leader on my team, or follow up with these connection cards and make sure. And I'm like, how am I connecting with people before I connect with God? And so it takes a high level of intentionality. Yeah. And I'm learning that. And that's been a lot of fun. I've been doing it with Tamara has been great. She always keeps me accountable. And just the nicest way. She's like, hey, you reading? Are you praying? And it's always, hey, when's the last time you talked to God? And I love it, and we get to teach our kids that. They get to see that, and that's cool. Get to do a daily Devo with my daughter, because and that's right before bed. That's how can we not end the night, doing a Devo with and thanking God for everything. So it just takes a lot of intentionality. Yeah.
Well, I love your family. Your family is just a joy, not just at the church, just personally. Some of my favorite people to greet and to connect with, and so proud of you and Tamara of just, if you're listening, it's just interesting to me why I just have such a gratitude for our team. Yeah. For someone, sometimes maybe you think, man, someone got a shot to be a role, and but when you hear the backstory is, man, this is someone who, it's an act of obedience to say, hey, I'm making more money I've ever made. I'm rolling in life, but there's something I want to do, and I think it's going to involve working at North Point. And I know working at North Point or working at church is not, I don't moralize that. But when God specifically says it, for you, that difficult next step is, okay, we're going to have to adjust whatever we need to adjust to be obedient. And when you and Tamara do that, man, I just want you to know I'm so thankful. And I'm so proud of the ministry that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about young adults. What are some of the challenges? And I know it's overgeneralization, but if you could just kind of look at young adults, some who are listening, it's been a while, it's not their world, or they're just busy and they don't understand. What are some of the unique things that young adults are looking for, experiencing, that we can provide in Christ?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is relationships, and of course romantically and friendships. Just in this time of your life, as you graduate high school and you start either college or you're working a full-time job, starting a family, friendships will seem like they're dwindling away. Yeah, and that gets really tough. Or your tribe may change just a little bit because I remember Tamara and I struggled with this a little bit when we were young adults. I don't consider myself a young adult anymore. But when we were young adults,
that's perspective. I do.
Yeah, real good. I appreciate that. Good. My knees don't think so. But like we had kids young, and our friends were like, hey, you guys want to go hang out at 8:30? And I'm like, no. There's nothing sounds fun at 8:30 at night.
Chuck E. Cheese is closed.
Yeah, like what do you mean? So Jumpmania is not open right now. So, and it's just a different, I guess, life perspective. And it's sometimes hard to find people that's in the same walk of life and those friends. And it's like, well, what happened to all my friends? Like they're out doing all this fun, and I'm raising a family, or I'm starting a family, or even in college, I went away for college, and now I've disconnected with some of my friends from high school. Yeah, that's really tough. So every Tuesday we want to just. It's almost, especially if you're here from a different state, I'll give you a home away from home, a family away from your family, and make sure you know that, hey, you're loved here just as much as you were loved at home. And even relationally, romantically, that's a big one. Yeah. Everyone wants to feel love, right? And everyone wants to feel that connection. And it's walking people through heartbreak and being hurt, and like, I don't know how this is happening. I don't know what they mean by this. Doing that alone isn't fun. Yeah. And having people that you can trust. I have the best leadership team in America, like hands down. They care. They show up every Tuesday and do the same thing every Tuesday, and that's just care for people. That's their only job is to care and love on people, and they do it better than anyone. And they walk them through these relationships. You're going through this. Let's go get coffee. We don't have to do this Tuesday night. What are you doing tomorrow morning? Let's go get lunch, whatever it may be. And they sit and go through just the mud and the hard times of life with these people. And that's what, that's young adults in a nutshell, just relationships. And we're going to build them and get that community. Yeah.
We are a college town, and, we have, 4 major colleges that call Springfield home. Mm-hmm. Five that I can think of. There's probably more than that. Yep. I'm not even thinking of Paul Mitchell's hair studio. Yeah. So
I don't know much about Paul Mitchell's, but
they trim
beards. Maybe they can give me a little perm in my beard.
But it's imperative to our mission that we have a thriving young adults ministry, and we do. And I know that a lot of our North Pointers might never run into that on Tuesdays, but you see the impact of that on the weekends. Yeah. You feel the impact of that on the weekends. But it's growing. It is doubled and or tripled in the 8 months that you've been here, with momentum. And while the number isn't important, it is the vitality that is. And man, you have an authority and a humility, and that combo is effective. So, I'm so thankful for you. Thankful that you are on this team. I think you make North Point way better equipped for us to run at this mission. And so, whatever season you're here, and I just want you to know I'm thankful and love it, and I hope it's a long one. If you're listening, you got a young adult in your life, get them on a Tuesday, or you can find Tamara or Caleb in our lobbies anytime you're at service. Consider how maybe you can make a connection, a relational connection, or if you're looking to serve in either of those areas, whether kids or young adults, that'd be awesome. Also, if you got an extra truck out there, man, hey, I think that would be cool.
I heard the Carlot episode. Okay, so I don't know what's going on.
Come on,
I'm gonna protect myself.
You're not driving a truck right now, are you?
No, I squeezed into a Honda. So,
Here's the deal. If you're not watching in YouTube, okay, go on YouTube and let's get this guy a truck. So, hey, we love you, man. Thanks for what you're doing. I am praying big blessings on you in this ministry, and so thankful to have you on the team. And those of you listening to The Riff, thanks for joining us today, and we'll come back at you next week with another episode. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.